All right, we're going to go on. Let's make this easier on ourselves. Please look up on the screen here. This is the one we just did, right? Product query. Everybody agree with that? I want you to find that. I want you to grab that folder, copy it to the clipboard, the whole folder, go down to your next project, and paste it in. Because we're just going to add one thing to this. So I want the product query to both be in project 5 and project 6. Does that all make sense? All right, we're going to add another button onto here. So let's bring this up then. Bring up your, make sure it's the project 6 one, so bring that one up. This is going to be very fast, just so you know. This should not take us much time at all. Please look up on the screen here. First thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to double click on our, as soon as this comes up, I'm going to give it a second. Make sure everything's up in here. There's that. There's our code. Right. What we're going to do, we can do this now, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to move this button over, I'm going to move this button over, I'm going to add another button. All right. And I'm going to call this one products with, in fact, I'm not even going to call it that. I'm just going to call this average product price. Average product price. There's that button. I'm going to make sure I change the name of it from button 1 to button average product price. All right. We'll add the code in just a minute. Everybody got that third button in there? All right. And again, what you call it isn't that important, but please get used to not calling stuff like 1, 2, 3, etc. That's just not a good idea. All right, we're all here, correct? All right, double click on your XSD file again over here like we did before. I want this up here. All right, we're going to add yet another one. So right mouse click on your product table adapter, choose add query. We want to use SQL statements. Please look. This time we want a single value, because we're going to get the average price. There's only one average price. We want it to add together all 12 of those items and divide by 12. Does that make sense? Yes? All right, pretty simple. So we're just changing this to select, which returns a single value. Click next again. Well, I don't know what happened there. All right. We don't want any of this. We don't want to select count star. We want select average unit price. Or I'm sorry, it's price. Price from products. That's the whole query. Select AVG price from products. Questions on that, what that's doing or whatever? Again, that should add up all 12 of our prices and divide by 12. I can't think of a simpler way to put it than that. All right, so click next again. It says, what would you like to name this? Doesn't really matter that much, but let's just call it average price. Kind of call it what it is, you know. So average price, click finish. It shows us, oh, it doesn't like something. All right, it says, oh, look, I put products instead of product. You may have done the same thing, you may not have. So what do I have to do? I have to right mouse click on it again. Come on. Click configure. And I've got to go back to this and change it from products to product. I'd like to say to you, you know, I did that on purpose, but I screwed up. But it's a good thing because it's showing me that the query in its current form won't run. So I click Next again, same name. Now it tells me it generated the select, and I click Finish. And there it is. All right. So I'm going to go back into my code. When I go back into my code, there's more code. Don't just sit there and think, oh, I'm just going to copy this one like you did before. No, there's more stuff that we have to do. Why? We want it to print out with 2 decimal places. All right. Also, it doesn't print out on our form. We got to put it into a message box. You already know how to do that. We're going to do that right now. So we want to double click on our button that says average product price. And now we're going to put in this code. There is 1, 2, 3 whole honking lines of code. And we'll put a comment before each line. All right. So first, declare a variable to hold the average price. All right, we'll make it a decimal, and we'll call it, how about this? How about average price? All right, next, we have to get the average price. All right, that pretty much is what we had up here. But I'm going to grab this like we did before, and I'm going to paste it in, but I have to say average price equals this. Now, we're going to have a problem. All right? It may not show it as a problem, but it is. It's going to give us that answer with 4 decimal places. We don't want that. So I'm going to sit there and cast this into type decimal. And everybody read that. It's smaller, but I wanted to make sure it would all fit on the screen. And finally, we want to bring up a message box. So, display average price in a message box. You know how to do that. We've done this before. Message box.show. All right. And we want to say average price of all items is, why do you keep, of all items is plus, and we'll put this in here. I'll put it on a couple lines so it looks a little nicer. Average price dot to string. We'll put it in currency format. You've done all this before. Average price. The buttons, we'll just put an OK button in there. And we'll make this an information. And that's everything. I'll leave that up there for a minute. Once you put that in, all right, once you put that in, then just save it, run it. You should be all three of the buttons should be operational then. All right, I'm going to check mine just to be sure, then I'll come right back to the code. Let's just double check. I think it's $52.31. Something tells me that's what it was, but we'll find out in a second. All right, so there's my price descending. There's products with a unit on hand greater than 100. There's our average. Well, that's not right. The average price is not $9. I think you'd agree with that because there's nothing, so something's screwed up on my part.
Is it because we're still ordering it by units on hand? They're greater than 100?
Oh, I've got the wrong one here. See that? Thank you. See that? That's the wrong one. That I shouldn't have made a copy. Thank you. So that one should be, what was that? Average price. Thank you. There's a nice logic error. All right, what doesn't it like? Got the code. Oh, it's got to be average price. Not this, just paren. There we go. Change this. Everybody see that? Change this. I always like that when I screw up, but it actually allows me to show you something. All right. Let's try it one more time. It's a good catch. There you go, 5281 it was. At least that's what I got. You should get the same thing. Other than my screw up, anybody have any problem with that? Anybody? No? Andrew, Evan, no problems?
I'm getting the red line over there.
Did you, for average price, did you put nothing in there?
Yeah.
You're getting a red line here? And you've got the line here.
Yeah.
And you've got this. All right, let's take a look. Everybody else's works though? Here's Andrew, yours work? Okay, I'll let you pick one. Oh, you should have put. I'll tell you what, we should all just hover over that. That's correct to me. Quick mouse will come. And good. Quick minutes. All correct. Good. Nothing. Right around this one. Yeah. We're the same. Or even put your mouse right in front of this. I want you to look at that. I'll go back up to the previous one. I'll put it on. I'll put start typing file. Choose the average price. Correct. This is the fix. then you can look at them and see if you can figure out what the problem is. I don't see anything that looks wrong with yours. All right, let's do a file close solution. Make sure you save first, and we're going to create one more. All right, and this is going to allow us to do searching. All right, when we do searching, we're going to use like. Remember I talked before, I said, you remember like? Okay. So this is going to look a little bit different, but it's not, believe me, it's not hard. So let's come in here as we've been doing. Stretch that out a bit. File, new, project. We'll call this one product search because that's what we're doing here. Make sure you put this in your project 7 folder. Should be nothing in there right now, and it's called product search. Make sure it's a Windows format as always. Another product already exists there. Oh, I have to check and see if I have something in there already. Here's my products, project 6. Oh, I already made it. All right, let's change the name. I don't know why I did it in there, but I did. Okay. So, try it one more time. File, new, project, Windows Form. Put this into project 7 folder. And this is again product search. All right. We've done this enough times. I shouldn't have to run through any of this with you. Let's go in and do our project. Add new data source. You know the drill by now. Database, data set, new connection, browse, find the product db.mdf, test the connection. Okay. Then after you've got that, just accept all the defaults. Yes. Just accept all the names. That's fine. Again, let's, as we've been doing, choose product and finish. Did I have to run through that with you? All right. Also, if you would please, after you've got all that, everybody do that? Let's go in and do view, other windows, data sources, go to our product table here, choose a data grid view, and just drag one of those puppies out there. All right, again, I'm going to take mine and make it a little wider. And a little higher. I'm just going to leave it about like that. All right. So I now have my interface pretty much done. All right. Do you remember? I'm asking you this question. Do you remember Joe's Auto? Remember when we did the Joe's Auto? You remember when we did the Joe's Auto and we used a group box and we put like the oil and the lube together? Well, we're going to use another group box here. So find, you can close your data sources window. In your toolbox, find group box, drag one of those things out and put it someplace, in here. Make it a little wider and a little bigger. So it looks about like that. All right. And group box is dumb text in there. All right. I'm going to call this group box product search. All right. And for my text, I'm just going to say, I don't know, search description. Search description. All right. And if you want to, you don't have to do this, but I can even bold that so it reads a little bit better. There we go. All right. So that's what I've got in there. And I want two things. I want two things right there. In here, this is what I'm going to put in. I'm going to put in a text box right here, and that's what I'm searching for. And then I'm going to put in a button right there, and the button's going to actually say search. Then when I get done, I'm going to create another button over here. That's going to be my interface. Everybody with me? So the idea is, what this will do, when I print this, if you look up on the screen, this will show me all 12 records. So I'm going to come in here and type, for example, shirt, and click search. That'll then just show me all the ones with a description of search. That makes sense? Then when this button here, when I click it, it'll show me all 12 records again. So that's what we've got to do. Not very difficult, to be honest with you. So let's put it in there. So again, I'm going to grab a text box, throw it right here, stretch it out so it's just about taking up the whole area here. And I'll call this text box product. Doesn't matter really, again, what you call it. And then underneath that, I'm going to add a button. That's a little too big. And I'm going to call that one button search. And the text will be search. There's that. And finally, I'm going to create one more button over here. All right, and that one's going to say show all records. So I'm going to call that button show all records. And the text will say show all records. What the hell happened there? All right, so there's my interface. So basically, the only thing I have to do is to come back in and write the query. So when I click this, when I put something in there and I click here, it runs what we want it to run. Should make sense. All right. This one's going to look a little bit different because, would you agree, every time we run this, we could conceivably put something different in there? All right. So we're going to have to use what's called a placeholder. So we'll do that right now. All right. So let's double click on our XSD file. Okay. Done this enough time before. We're going to add another one here. So right mouse click on the product table adapter, add query. All right. Yes, we want to use SQL statements. All right. This, yes, will return more than one row. At least conceivably it could. All right. So this is what we're going to have to change here. All right. We want the product number. We want the description. We want the units on hand. We want the price. We want all that from products. Yeah, that's all correct. Or product. But we got to add something here. Where description. This is going to be hard for you to see, so give me a second here. Like all right. I'm going to grab the whole query and I'm going to stick it in here so it's easier for you to read. And there's a space there, a space there, a space there, etc. So put spaces and all that stuff. Is that okay enough that everybody can read that? Should be plenty big, I would think. So what does this say? This says this value is this right here. See that thing in blue? Everybody see that? That's what we're going to put in to the text box. So if I put in shirt, shirt might be the first thing in there, shirt might be the last thing in there, shirt might be in the middle. So we're saying anything followed by shirt followed by anything. Does that make sense? Right. So with all that in there, hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. Next, we again want to fill a data table. The fill by right here, I mean, again, we could call it anything we wanted to. Let's just call it product search because that's what it is. We don't even use the fill by. Just let's call it product search. And again, we do not want to return a data table. All right. Click next. It should build that stuff for you then. Click finish. There it is right here. So all that's left is to add our code. I think there's like 2 lines, I believe. All right, so we come back to here. We need one for this one, and we need one for this one. Does that make sense? So let's do the search first. It really doesn't matter which one we do first, but I just use that one first. So under our search, we're going to say this dot our product table adapter dot search product search, what we just called it, product search, and it's not smart. So we've got to say this dot product dataset, db dataset dot product, and then we have to tell it where it is we're searching. And that's that text box. What did I call that text box? I don't know. Well, I'll have to look. Did I give it a name? Text box product. Okay. Still doesn't like it. Oh, dot text. That's smart. There we go. And again, in English, that's saying what we want to do is we want to be able to search, but we want to base it off of what we've typed into that text box, and we want to search our whole data set. All right? Let's save it and run it. See if I made any mistakes. Again, it wouldn't be the first time. You already know that. So I'm going to run this. We have one more line to add, and then we're done. But I'm going to come in here. Okay, take a look on the screen here. Would you agree the word shirt is in there a bunch of places? See that? So I'm going to try typing in shirt, and it shouldn't be case dependent. Shirt, search. Shirt, 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 shirt. Looks like it worked. All right. Now the show all records button doesn't work yet, so we're going to fix that. So we've got to bring up our other button, show all records, and you've already done this. All right, we've done this kind of thing already, and it's just this dot product table adapter dot fill, which says fill it back up again. This dot product, got to spell this right. That should be everything. All right, save all. Let's run it. Notice there's nothing wrong with me checking for something that isn't there. All right, for instance, I'm not in there, but I'm going to put me in there anyway. If I want to see how many descriptions have an O in them for some reason, I can do that. Oxford, Poplin, etc. You can see that. Those have O's in them. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. Let's just try one thing. So let's type in wool. All right, that just shows one, show all records, and boom, they're all back. All right. So let's do a file, save all, and now we can close the solution. Now, other than the problem that Evan had, and we'll see if we can fix that, everybody should now have 7 working copies. All right? And we went on and we went on and we went on. So this is what I'm going to ask that you try to do. Try it. If for some reason you have problems with it, we'll work on it tomorrow as class. But I'm going to give you a hard copy of what's on the screen right now. Again, try to be a teaching institution, and I think you learn more rather than me just telling you type this, having you try to do it yourself. All right? Again, we will go over it tomorrow, so if there's anything that doesn't make sense, all right? So, again, it's up on the board, and you've got the handout. Please put each iteration into the Project 8 folder. So you can call it Project 8-1, 8-2. You understand? So you will have Project 8-1, Project 8-2, Project 8-3, Project 8-4, and Project 8-5. All of these will go into your Project 8 folder. Does that make sense? All right, so you'll have 5 iterations in there. That shouldn't hurt anything. All right. So the first one, use Visual Studio to create and add a new database. So you're creating this. This is the same way we did the phone book one yesterday. Okay? So you'll do that. The database should be called personnel.mdf. It should have a table named employee, and it should have an employee ID column, which is an int, a name, which is a string, or like a varchar, position, which is a varchar, an hourly pay rate, which should be, whatever you want to make it. You can make it a double, float, whatever. The employee ID should be the primary key. Insert at least 10 sample rows in there and create an app that displays everything in a data grid. Does all that make sense? Honestly, that should literally, the hardest part of that is probably typing in those 10 records. You want to use the same ones we use for the phone book? That's fine. Put yourself in there. That's 9 of them already. All right? Then, second, create an application now that uses that. When you create that database, save it just right to the Project 8 folder so they can all suck off of that. All right? So create an app that connects to that personnel.mdf database. The main form should display the employee table in a data grid and have a button that when you click it displays a second form that just displays information about that employee. Does that sound familiar? It's like the multi-part one that we just did. All right? 3. Again, very similar to one we just did. Create an application that again connects to the personnel.mdf database. Display the employee table in a data grid view. Have 2 buttons. The first one that when clicked shows the pay rate in ascending order, and the second one which shows it in descending order. Again, that shouldn't be hard. Finally, the fourth and fifth. The fourth one is like the one we just did, when an employee search. So you can set it up the same way. Hell, if you want, you can probably copy in your ones you did before and use those. I don't really care. And then finally, like we just did, but I want you to do max and min and average. So you'll have 3 buttons. Does everybody get that? You all understand what I'm asking you to do? And then we will go over it tomorrow at 10:15. So you'll have, right now, you'll have an hour and 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. And tomorrow, you'll have 2 hours and 15 minutes. So you'll have basically 4 hours. You get this done, just in case you get this done by the end of class, what I'll do is I've got another thing, but I'm going to have to copy another database over to you. All right? And that's what we'll be working on then tomorrow. Does all that make sense? Questions? All right, the rest of the period then is yours. You're going to get an email from me with another database in it in just a couple minutes.